Welcome to the April edition of Bob's Tool Time. I'm Bob Lyons, your host. Well, for this edition, what we want to talk about is tire service. Any of you who have wrestled with a Z3 tire and rim will know that it's a pretty horrendous job, and it can be very difficult, and you can also damage the wheel, which is very expensive. So what we've done today is we brought in an expert from Hunter Engineering in St. Louis, Missouri, and Dave Scribner is here to give us a hand. Dave, welcome. Thank you very much. And why don't we start out by giving us a history of the tire machine itself? How, where did we come from and where are we going to when it comes to tire service?
Great. Well, let's take a look at some technology that's pretty popular in most of the shops today. Here we have a tire changer that uses a side shovel. And on today's types of wheels, we're getting wheels that are lower and lower in profile. The tires have rim protection bars, and there's a tendency to want to protect the rim. So obviously, if we hit the rim, we do damage, and by moving the tire back away from the shovel, now, if we're lucky enough to get the tire off, usually the tire is damaged because we're loosening the tire in the soft area of the casing. Okay, let's look at some other application issues related to safety. First, safety of the operator. We have a tabletop here where if we're seating the bead on a high-performance tire, it takes high pressures, and this tends to act as a launch pad. When we clamp the wheels on these machines, aluminum wheels today don't like steel jaws. They tend to be invasive and put teeth marks inside or outside the rims. This type of technology can cause a lot of expensive comebacks. When we're mounting high-performance tires, older style machines use steel mounting heads that had to be adjusted away from the rim during mounting. That protected the rim, but essentially what it does is create more potential for damage to the tire bead as you stretch the tire when you're mounting it. Okay, let's talk about a new technology that's come from Europe over the past 5 or 6 years. These are the machines that are designed to handle performance wheels, alloy rims properly. This type of clamping system holds the wheel with rubber pads. While we're inflating the wheel, while we're changing the tires and servicing them, we don't have to worry about invasive damage to the wheel. Whether the rim is narrow or wide, we have a support shaft here that allows the operator to work at the same position regardless of the wheel width. The next major feature on this machine is the bead roller assembly. This unit here rolls the bead off the rim. It replaces the need for a side-mounted shovel. It protects the bead because it's rolling it off, and also at the same time we don't have to worry about rim damage. These rollers can put up to 4,000 pounds of force against the rim, and with this clamping system it allows the rim to be able to move while it's being serviced, and it still gives us lots of power. The third and final feature of this machine is the articulating arm, which is used in combination with this polymer or plastic mount head. This arm is designed to follow the wheel as the wheel is clamped. If we're pushing with all sorts of force, the arm can follow the rim. We don't have to worry about it being rigid. We also use a polymer mount head because we're allowing the mount head to ride against the edge of the rim on the underside, and as we're mounting the tire, we're not stretching the bead and overstressing the bead to cause damage. This also protects the rim. This is designed as a wearing component, so periodically you'll change this and replace it. Let's review basically the 3 major features that make this machine unique for today's sophisticated tires and rims. We have a bead roller assembly here that allows us to push and pull and mount and demount on the tire. As we're using that, we can put high forces. This eliminates the need for the shovel, the side-mounted shovel, but as we're pushing, the wheel is clamped with this tulip system with rubber. If the wheel is moving, there's no damage to the rim, and in order to protect the rim while mounting and demounting, we also use this polymer mount head and the articulating arm, which follows the rim as we're servicing the tire.
Okay, Dave, you're from Missouri. Show me.
Hey, no problem. Okay, first I set the diameter, and we're going to roll the bead off the rim. I don't have to bend over, lean over, do any twisting. When the bead is loosened, I can lubricate the tire. Insert the lever. No need for adjusting the arm. And a quick inflation.
Pretty impressive, Dave. Now let's see you do an M3 wheel and tire.
No problem. Okay, we're going to handle this tire a little differently now. I'm going to bring both these rollers in and just use the upper roller to hold the wheel on the rim, on the clamp. Now as I'm bead loosening, I'm going to bead loosen the bottom bead first. And because this is a bead lock, I want to give plenty of patience to the roller, let it loosen the tire by itself. And then lubricate the tire before you remove it. Even if you're going to discard the tire, it makes it a lot easier to service. You can imagine how hard it would be to use a side shovel and do this type of lubrication. Nobody does it. Once the bottom is lubricated, I'm going to loosen the upper. Again, letting the roller do the work. In some cases, you can lubricate the sidewall of a tire. Once the bead is loosened, I can actually lubricate the bead seat, the safety hump, and the tire bead. Very simple to do. Now at this point, it's very tough to keep the tire in the drop center when we're demounting, so we use a special tool. This is called a bead depressor tail. This acts as a bead lock and at the same time holds the tire down. You're familiar with 5 or 6 guys fighting a machine with pry bars. This is all done with one person very easily by inserting these blocks. Now the tire is in the drop center, 180 out from the mount head. I can now insert my tool and then remove the roller. That way I don't have to fight the low profile tire. With the sleeve protector now protecting the rim, push down the mount head, and with this special bead lever, it has a bubble, I can very easily pull the tire up over the mount head. Now if it's fighting me, I can use the lower roller to help push the bead up over the mount head. No need to break a sweat with this machine. Everything is done with the power of the unit. Unfurl the bead and remove the tire. Make sure the tire is free. If you notice, the machine is tilted toward me. Unlike the other machines, it's a wide wheel. I can now position the tire in a drop center very easily, insert the tool, and remove the bottom bead. You notice we're using a sleeve protector here. That way it never touches the rim. Lubricate the toe area, the outside of the bead. We use a mounting paste to prevent the tire and the rim from slipping and rim corrosion. And we'll go ahead and mount the tire now. Again, there's no setup with the mount head. Now it's very hard to mount the tire now, so again, I can use this special tool. Very quickly, I just insert it, lock the bead to the rim. Now as I start to mount the tire, I place these blocks in place, and the tires normally jump over top of the mount head. Again, instead of having 3 people with pry bars, I use the roller. All done by one person in one easy step. We can even remove the tool without any force. You have an automatic inflator. As long as you stay clear of the tire. Obviously these tires seat at very high pressures. Anything below 40 psi is acceptable, but stand clear, because when it goes over that safety hump, it'll let you know.
Pretty impressive, Dave. Dave, a lot of our centers already have this machine, and I was wondering if you could give them a few hints on how to use it better.
Sure. Let me show you some accessories and some tips that might make the job easier.
Great.
Okay, one of the common toughest procedures is demounting the upper bead. We use a special bead lever, a high-performance bead lever. If you notice, it's chrome-plated and it's curved. It also has a bubble on the end. The reason why we chrome-plate it is because when we lubricate it, it makes it very slippery. The bubble allows us to be able to insert the tire, and when we pull it up against the tire, we're not poking the sidewall. One of the common problems with using a polymer mount head is people don't realize that the mount head has to be against the edge of the rim before demounting. When you use this HM lever, it allows you to be able to rotate counterclockwise before demounting, and if you notice, the mount head automatically comes to the face of the wheel. It protects the life of the mount head and also makes it easier to get the tire up on top of the tool before it's removed. First off, the tire is always on the left-hand part of the mount head, and the tire is also on the right-hand lower part, but sometimes that's not happening automatically. So you have to use some method of getting the bead below that location. So as you see here, the roller holds it there. The next step, the third step, is getting the bead locked to the rim. And sometimes that doesn't happen automatically, so that's the purpose of this bead depressor tail. It locks the bead to the rim, and the last step is to get the bead in the drop center. Most people don't get the bead lubricated properly and allow the tire to slip into the drop center of the rim, and if it's not going in the drop center, the tire is not mounting very easily. So these things have to be done. You go through the checklist, and the tire goes right on.
Dave, those are some good tips for our people out there. I'd like to thank you very much for helping us out today. You did a great job.
My pleasure, thanks.
And if you want more information on this machine, look in your service equipment binder, call DES on a number that's inside on the pages, or visit Hunter out on the web at www.hunter.com. We'd like to thank you for watching today, and we'll see you next month right here on Bob's Tool Time. Dave, how about if we finish up that wheel and go